99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
It is 19 hours 20 in Guyana, right across the Eastern Caribbean. Namaste, welcome to the Friday edition of the Lall Show, as we bring to you a rebroadcast. As you know, Mr. Lall is out, and we'll be back with you very soon. And he sends his regards, and he has instructed all of us here at the studio, to bring to you rebroadcast of programs that you might have missed, or just for you to get a better understanding of what he is speaking about. The American president suddenly got a wake-up call and realized that his people will be shortchanged for quite a while now by the oil companies, despite them receiving up to 19% royalty, while our leaders are defending the sanctity of the 2% we are getting. It is time for the rebroadcast of the Lall Show, and we encourage you to pay keen attention and encourage your friends and families to join us.
We are the Kaieteur News. There is a survey of 35 oil-producing countries, in which almost all of them received from 12.5% royalty up to 25% and more. Royalty, according to history, was set by the Queen of England when they owned half the world 100, 200 years ago. According to that survey, Uncle, there is no country on earth that found oil and has ever gotten a contract like what this country called Guyana. Let me repeat, man. No country that finds oil has ever gotten a contract like what this country called Guyana has settled for. None. I mean, none of these contracts have less than 2% royalty, Uncle. I have asked the head of the Energy Department, a man named Mark Bino, Exxon countryman Ninja, Alistair Rutledge, and several other oil experts in the world, to just point the Kaieteur News to any country that has a similar or worse contract than Guyana. They have all looked at me, shake or dung their heads. Billions of Africans in dire poverty because of bad oil. Bad oil contracts, bad timber and mineral contracts that their leaders sign on to, Uncle. Wait, y'all think we would allow you guys to get away with this? Huh? Politicians, I really believe that this nation will sit back with one of the worst contracts on earth for the last 200 years and think y'all going to get away with it? Not at all. Not under my dead body. This can pass.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Too many of our citizens in this land already living in misery and extreme poverty. And that should have never happened.
Yes, my brother. Speak here.
Not with the kind of wealth this country is blessed with. No way. We will take back what is rightfully ours from every one of them in our back dam and in our waters.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I did say Friday, I have to tell you a special story today. So here it is. Sit back, relax, and just enjoy the flight with me tonight. We are going to New York tonight, to the United States, to have a chat with a special friend. A special friend there. You want to hear his name? His name is Joseph Biden, the President of the United States. You know why we're going to chat with him, Miss Harris? Because he suddenly get a wake-up call and realize that the American people who elected him to serve is being shortchanged for quite a while by the oil people. Yeah, man, he realized that. But our leaders does not have that kind of vision. Matter of fact, our leaders is seeing the opposite to Joe Biden. They will go to America and tell us from there that we will be shortchanged and that we would have to live with that for quite a while into the future. That's what they're telling us, with a few penny we are getting from the oil companies. Joseph Biden, the President of the United States, uncle, I like him. He means well. He's a better human being for all mankind than all of them here. Here, if you understand what I'm talking about, Guyana. Let me make it clear. He's far away a much better human being than a man named Donald Trump. And that's my view.
Hell yeah, you're right.
Okay, that's my view. No cost me for that. It's how I feel about the man. I have known him for quite a while too. Hear what this man said. He is ready to increase royalties on his oil and gas from the oil companies. Man, you hear what I said there, man? Joseph Biden is ready to increase royalties on his oil and gas from the oil companies.
They are already getting 67%.
Uncle, when I heard that, I wanted to drop off the map. Increase royalties for ExxonMobil and the oil companies? Man, that is class. That's a man with a vision.
Exactly.
Joe Biden says, uncle, the current arrangements with oil companies shortchanges the American citizens. You want me to repeat the thing, man?
Yes, please.
Mr. Joe Biden says the current arrangements with oil companies, including ExxonMobil, shortchanges the American citizens.
And they are already getting 67%.
You hear me? May come to that. The U.S., uncle, is getting from 12.5% up to 18.75% royalties from oil companies. And the president himself is now saying that amount of royalties is not enough, and deem that as robbing the country and its people. What would you say about Guyana, man? And this is only royalty
Not taxes.
Joseph Biden is talking about. This gentleman is not talking about taxes. Not a single word he need to talk about that. Because the oil companies have to pay their sheer share of taxes.
Of course, all over the world.
As for Guyana, we can get there. Guyana, what would you say? Guyana, who has the best oil on earth,
Sweet just like this food.
and getting less than 2% royalty. Man, you don't hear me, sir, man.
Clowns.
We getting less than 2% royalty. And your leaders saying that is not robbery. That is not robbing the Guyanese citizens. These corrupt clowns we have as bleeders for leaders telling us that. Yeah. Let me give you guys a reminder in case you forgot. Raphael Trotman is the man who signed that 2% contract. He got a degree in contract negotiations from Harvard University in America, uncle and auntie, one of the best in the world.
Ivy League.
Man, but in all fairness, he said he was instructed and directed to sign it, but never say who. Who direct him or instruct him? I wonder, auntie and uncle, after all that is coming out on a daily basis from experts around the world, if he will join the protests when we hit the road, what you say, why? You will join?
We'll see.
It's only fair that if you messed up something, that you would leave the nation and its people far worse than they were before with your actions. Then you should be on the front lines of the fight to correct what you put the country in. Not true, man?
Yes.
Huh?
To show you're sincere.
Yes.
To show you're sincere.
Integrity.
Well, when we begin this protest, I would want to see him there.
And if
Yes.
If he's not doing, he's lying.
Yes. Then we will know if you're a man of integrity or if you're one of the politicians who does get rich overnight.
Sell out. Like the African.
Auntie, Mr. Joe Biden said he doesn't want to waste any time. He has an aggressive plan to overall to reform the American oil and gas industry, to change the way they operate in that country, starting with the increase of the royalties paid by ExxonMobil and the other oil companies. You heard that, guys? The man said he don't want to waste time. He's beginning it right now. The man has an aggressive plan that he's ready to pursue. This new move is so important to the US president that Mr. Biden made an executive order directing his government to immediately conduct a review of the federal oil and gas leases and permit practices.
You think President Ali gonna do the same thing?
Man, let me go back to that piece. Like, you don't get what I said there, buddy. This thing is so important to Joseph Biden that the man made an executive order. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Directing the government to immediately conduct a review of the oil and gas leases and permits practices. You hear me, man? You asked the question just now. What would Mr. Ali do?
President Ali, would he do the same thing?
Man, I don't know if Mr. Ali is awake or if he's sleeping.
He's sleeping in a deep.
You know what that means, uncle, what I just said there? The man wants to see all the details. He wants to see if all the terms and conditions in these permits, license and leases that they are giving out to the oil companies are benefiting the people and not just the oil companies. You hear me?
The man sounds like it's President of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, yes.
What's
What's going on in Guyana? May I ask? Permits, license and leases is giving out Wild West. One president said he didn't even read the documents, but signed away 12 blocks. Like I said, leases, license and permits are being granted to foreigners left, right and center all across Guyana. In some cases, the people just go ahead and start working, Bernard. Start building without any permits or leases or license. Yes. All over this country they're doing it, man. This country like it become a free-for-all for foreigners. Look at ExxonMobil. It's the exact thing them doing to Guyana right now with this Ford project called Yellowtail. No leases, no license, no permits, but ExxonMobil steaming ahead, handing out multi-billion-dollar US dollar contract without our permission And of course, uncle, we have to pay every cent. The contracts to buy the ship and put in the underwater equipment for the fourth project already signed and sealed, sent out already. The people don't get a contract already.
We ain't buying the ship though. You're gonna pay for it.
Wait, no man. It's like you don't get nothing. But it's like sometimes I ask, who these wealth belong to in this land?
We pay for the ship, but we still don't own it.
Our leaders allowing these things to happen. Our leaders allowing these things to happen, uncle and auntie.
Wake up, wake up.
And I need to wake up.
Definitely, sir.
You guys need to wake up. You guys sleeping too much. You think ExxonMobil could have do that with Joseph Biden? Huh? But that is what they have been doing to us. Yes. They already did it to the coalition and the PPP with Lisa 1, 2 and 3, which is Payara. We are still to check, verify and audit those inflated bills. And while time running out on us to check those bills, uncle and auntie, Exxon them running ahead with the fourth project, spending more billions to throw in we face. Yes, like animals. Take that, you filthy animal, and pay it.
Are we disappointed we can't?
And you have a leader, the man who running the system, telling you, I am disappointed that we can't find people to check money.
And the next day he said, you're not qualified to audit it. And the next one he said,
Wow. Give them permits, man. Give them license and leases. Drill, baby, drill. Pump, baby, pump. Pump like I never pumped before. My gosh. When you remember these people, they report, uncle, that Joseph Biden ordered into how the oil companies operating in America found that modernizing the sector had been put off for too long to the detriment of the American people, to the detriment of their lands, their waters, their environment, their wildlife, and so much more. You hear that?
yes.
That's what the people found. You understand? It has put off for too long to the detriment of America. That report that Biden ordered stated that the way the oil companies were doing business falls short of serving the public's best interests. And it does not provide sufficient opportunities for public input. And that resulted in shortchanging the American. Basically, the way the oil company doing business there, uncle, they were shafting America.
This American company.
And if they can do it
To their own people.
to their own people, man, you tell me what they will do to me and you, brown, black, and yellow, and purple people. That already, living at the edge of the Kaieteur Falls. Yes. They don't have to kick you far, man. Just touch you with a little finger and you're gone for Jana. And if you do survive, if a miracle happens, you're going to be swimming just like the hundreds of millions of Africans and Asians in extreme poverty. That same report that I'm talking about, uncle and auntie, found out that what the oil company was giving the country and its people was nothing compared to what the country has to spend to fix the issues they created with the environment. You hear that? Man, I love this report, man. the people realized that the money they're receiving from the oil companies can never fix back the damages they're doing to the environment alone in America.
With all the technology.
The report said basically the American people were being shafted 2 times. Uncle and auntie, if Exxon and the others doing this to their own people, their own country, what you think them already doing to me and you out there?
Yes, whole country.
Huh? You're right. An S-whole country. Yes, which one the president used that? Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Yes.
He was right in the one thing.
Yes, he was perfect when he said
Of
that.
course. That's why they're treating us.
They are already doing that out there to us, uncle, with the flaring. Paying us $45 a ton for burning all the natural gas. And Jack Day and Harmon comfortable with that. You know, Bernard, many of you people, uncle and auntie, do not understand what that means. Let me put it in a nutshell. That $45 they pay in Guyana, what it means, what it's equivalent to. It's equivalent to your neighbor dumping his garbage in your mouth and pay $45 a day to do that. You don't understand what I said there. That $45 Exxon is paying Guyana per ton, uncle and auntie, is equivalent to your neighbor dumping them garbage in your mouth every day. And paying you $45. Instead of paying Sivan's or Puran Brothers $3,000 a day to come pick up the garbage. That is what Jack do them allowing ExxonMobil to do in our mouths every day with $45 a ton. That is what these clowns agreed to. Burn the gas in the air, messing up Guyana, messing up the entire world. And we living with that, breathing it. Some, don't be surprised. I hear one or two people, they're in the hospital with cancer. I'm not certain.
It's going to go up.
Wait and see, it will raise. That constant day and night flaring is one of the reasons why the flooding has increased so much in Guyana over the last 3 years, uncle. Soon we will have to go back to the entire, we will have to do back the entire seawalls to save us, to save Guyana. $45 US, $45 US a metric ton. What Jack Day and Harmon settled for? I don't know if they're going to ever buy a truckload of sand, much as a load of them boulder.
$9,000 can buy half a load of sand.
Yeah, this is the kind of leaders we have here, man. You know, when you think about these chaps, you know, it's like you really want to know what school these people been to. You know?
Harvard.
No, man. Harvard?
Harvard.
Let me go back to Biden, please. Please. He had a beautiful campaign slogan. Build back better for America. Guyana got a constant policy by both parties. Broke up and done quick. Pump, baby, pump. Drill, baby, drill. Drill like you never drilled before, or pump like you never pumped before.
Take out like Kaieteur for 2 years ago now.
You know, Bernard, we at the Kaieteur News have been constantly reporting on how these foreigners coming in our country are given leases, license and permits, then move into our lucrative lands and waters, do whatever they want, endanger our brothers and sisters and their communities without even telling them a word, treating them like second-class citizens on their own land, leaving them helpless. You all hear carefully what the report that Joe Biden ordered had to say. The way in which the oil sector is managed and run. It completely ignored the people and their complaints and leaves entire communities without important conversations about how they want their public lands and waters to be managed.
Yes.
It's the same thing happening here. Just today, only today, on the front page of Kaieteur News, were no other than the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, an MP named Lennox Schumann, complaining bitterly about how the residents in Marudi are being treated and ignored as foreigners and foreign companies invade their rich mining lands, leaving them in the dark. Today only that happened.
He's finally waking up.
No, well, he only responded to a story we have been carrying for the last couple of days.
Yes.
All the MPs, they only respond to the Kaieteur News and the other media houses. They come up with nothing for themselves. They think nothing for the people who voted them there.
They forgot who voted them.
No, that's not their concern.
Because
Their concern is about what they can get for
from
themselves.
the foreigners.
For themselves. Only at election time, you see these politicians go around all over the country begging them for votes. Yeah, man, that's what they do. This is what these people do. You know, can I have some water, please? Can I have some water? I need some water. Thank you.
PSA is not a PSA that the PPP would have supported or given approval. We have commented publicly under the circumstances in which that PSA was hurriedly signed. Truckman was advised not to sign it. He got Exxon partly drafted the PSA. They handed it to him, and he was advised not to sign it, and he did sign it. And then the global witness said, when he was questioned by global witness in some newspapers, he said he was told to sign it. He has not mentioned who told him to sign it up to today. But the contract has several features that he would wish to change. Now, we have made it clear that because we don't want litigation, and that because there is in such an environment some sanctity of contracts, that we are not renegotiating the PSA for the Scarborough block.
All right, guys, sorry about that. My throat went dry. It's a lot, this thing takes a lot out of you.
It does.
But I just want 2 minutes more to finish the story with the best and sweetest part of it. Yeah. Is when Joe Biden wake up and say, this thing ain't right at all. All these years the US was getting one of the highest royalty rates in the world. Man, like I said, these guys were getting 12.5% to 19% and never complain. All of a sudden, them realize that 19% royalty isn't enough for their wealth, and that they deserve more. Man, Joshua,
Yes, sir.
if them deserve more than 19%, what about we 2%?
Exactly. Junkie.
Huh?
Junkie.
I only hope you all sleep here for me, Uncle.
No, man.
I remember telling you, just relax. Throwback. We are going to New York. We're going to chat with Joe Biden. Well, if Joe Biden getting as much as 19% with all taxes, Guyana 2% and no taxes whatsoever. Man, please, please, tell me something. Y'all gotta tell me something here, man.
Exactly.
All the whole world getting 12 and a half and up. We get 2% and down.
What are we, junkies?
Oh gosh, no. Are we human beings?
I just about to agree.
Huh? Or are we slaves?
I think we're junkies.
Or monkeys? Yeah, man. I did a program a while back in which I told you people how the Queen set royalty rates
Yes.
way back in the early 19th century. And that has not changed after 100 years. Yes, my friend, my body, my think alike, finally joined me and said, no, no, this can't work anymore. We have to change it. The Biden documents say the royalty rates has been long outdated and hasn't been raised in over 100 years since the 1920s. So now Uncle Adati, he's instructing and directing his administration to increase the royalty rates. Yeah, man, right across the spectrum. On ExxonMobil and every other oil companies in the US. Maybe he's going to put it to 50%. I am not certain. Guyana getting 50 profit sharing. Well, Guyana getting less than 2% royalty. I told you guys the word of sharing, the profit sharing. Don't even talk about a word. But I want to believe that Mr. Joe Biden will seek 50% royalty.
It belongs to the people.
I wonder which morning President Ali and opposition leader Harman will wake up and say to Exxon, enough is enough.
You're dreaming.
Is when Vice President wearing the sector will really put on a pants and be like a man, like Biden, and stamp his feet to Exxon and say, make Guyana share right. Huh?
Be a man.
When that will happen? And if he or any one of them doesn't stamp their feet, how about me and you get out into the streets with our feet on the ground
Yes.
and show them that the power,
Belongs to the people.
yes, the power belongs to me and you as one people, one nation with one single destiny.
Yes. Speak it, man.
Yeah, man. We got to do that. And we got to do that by getting them to change all the foreign contracts immediately.
All. Every single.
Every single one of them. That story, Uncle, shows the difference between first world leaders and third world bleeders. You know, I always, since I learned of this man, Patrice Lumumba, I just love to listen to him. He's a professor, an African professor, and a lawyer. If you guys can Google him and listen to him, he's one of my favorite people to listen to. He can really be a leader of the non-white world. 3 weeks ago, he gave a talk in Kenya and told the audience that Africa is yet to produce a smartphone, although every piece of the component for that phone comes out of Africa.
Right here.
The man said the COVID vaccine, the entire Africa is taking, was made out of Africa. The vaccine of the whole Africa tech was made out of Africa. He said even to the building he was speaking from was built by the Chinese, and he knows that because of the writing that is outside on the said building. The professor said Africa has so much and has had so much yet they haven't built anything that they can be proud of. He said everything foreigner came and took and continue to take what they want and how they want from Africa. And where is Africa today? Is in the doldrums. Third world leaders, the man said. All they care about is their pockets, their friends and their families. They will settle for even the crumbs the white man throw at them, simply because they don't understand, Bernard. Simply because they don't understand, Bernard, their value, buddy. They don't understand. They haven't a clue of what Guyana really value, what the people of this country have.
And deserves to.
Had they understand, had they had a clue, every citizen of this country should have been chipping down the road with the pockets full of cash. You know the song? A chipping down the road with me own woman. Me own woman. You know the song, Josh?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, man. That's a beautiful song. Yeah. But who you chipping down with? You're chipping down with a plastic bag in your hand. A plastic bag in your hand that you just get snatched. That is get snatched with tennis shoe bag inside.
Before you reach your camp.
Biden will increase his royalty rate from 18.75% to 50%. And Guyana will still be defending that 2% royalty treatment sign. You gotta love this country.
Less than 2. Less than.
You gotta love this country. Despite the contract has a clause that speaks of renegotiation, if both parties agree to date, instead of our leaders asking for that contract to be renegotiated, they must defend the people contract.
Yep.
None other than Jack Doe, the man who's heading the oil sector, is saying we have to honor the sanctity of contract. Could you play that video again, Ron? Play it. Guys, please listen to this video. You gotta hear this video, man. Play it.
The PSA is not a PSA that the PPP would have supported or given approval. We have commented publicly under the circumstances in which that PSA was hurriedly signed. Troutman was advised not to sign it. He got Exxon partly drafted the PSA. They handed it to him, and he was advised not to sign it, and he did sign it. And then the global witness said, when he was questioned by global witness in some newspapers, he said he was told to sign it. He has not mentioned who told him to sign it up to today. But the contract has several features that he would wish to change. Now, we have made it clear that because we don't want litigation, and that because there is in such an environment some sanctity of contracts, that we are not renegotiating the PSA for the Stavro block. But when Exxon comes along for a PSA for Kaieteur and Kanji blocks that they are operators for, then they will have an entirely different PSA, a model PSA that we're working on now that will correct the deficiencies of the PSA that the Stavro block had.
Wow.
Man, when you listen to this man, you know, you don't get upset. Something got to be done to this country.
I agree.
You know, not even the oil crooks who give us this one-sided contract is defending it. I mean Exxon.
Of course,
Not even them defending this
They
contract.
cannot.
Huh? Jagdeo said a PSA is not a PSA that the PPP would have supported. Uncle and auntie, the PSA is the contract he talking about.
Exactly.
Or giving approval. He said he would never give approval. We have commented, the man said we have commented publicly under the circumstances in which the contract was hurriedly signed. You hear what he said? It was hurriedly signed.
So why are you going to change it?
Well, uncle, if something was hurriedly signed and you would not have signed it, what you have to do when you get in there, man?
Change it.
Correct, change it. Why are you defending it? Why are you fighting for it to stay the way it is, knowing that it is the worst oil contract the world has ever seen? Wait, man. Bernard, let me ask back this question again. Is what these guys getting financially for keeping this thing as it is? May I ask this question again?
You have to. That's the easy
For
question.
the umpteen times?
That is the question to ask.
What are you guys getting financially from these contracts that you guys not changing it, you guys defending it? Huh? Then you went on to say ExxonMobil draft the contract and give it to Trotman, and Trotman was advised not to sign it, and he did it. He keep emphasizing that Trotman was told to sign the contract, but Trotman never said who told him to sign the contract. Man, let me ask Al Guyana this. What that has to do with a contract that has already been signed?
Exactly.
Huh? It has been signed. So let us see how we can correct the document. Not true, man?
Yeah, definitely.
Right now we don't care. And none of us should care who tell him to sign it. He signed it on behalf of Guyana. And let us correct that.
You are representing Guyana now.
Guys, but that's the kind of political gimmick these clowns
Play with us.
just dance with and wants to confuse people with, rather than dealing with the substance of the matter, that 2% contract.
Disgraceful. Disgraceful.
Rather he work towards correcting that. He busy blaming each other. Jagdeo said clearly the contract has provisions, uncle, that can be changed, but he don't want no court story. Y'all think this man want to change anything?
No way.
Huh? All of us going to the gallows, and all of us going with starvation to the gallows with that contract. And that man who is heading the sector telling us he don't want no litigation, so you're going to leave it as it is. Now telling us that because he said there is, and these are his words, right? These are his words. I got to tell you all his words, man. Hear his words carefully, uncle. Because there is such an environment, some sanctity of contract, that we are not renegotiating the PSA of Starbrook Block. Man, let me read back the piece, man. I got to read this thing for you, man. Because there is such an environment, some sanctity of contract, that we are not responding to the PSA. We're not renegotiating the PSA of the Starbrook Block. Man, could you play the tape, man? Play the piece of tape. That little piece of tape,
Okay,
man.
how come it's something they got that don't apply to
Wait, man. Wait, man. Let me hear. Guyana, hear these people.
That they because we don't want litigation, and that because there is such an environment some sanctity of contracts, that we are not renegotiating the PSA for the Starbrook Block. But when Exxon comes along for a PSA for Kaieteur and Kanji blocks that they're operators for, then they will have an entirely different PSA, a model PSA that we're working on now that will correct the deficiencies of the PSA that the Starbuck block had.
Let me read them back again so you understand. Because there is such an environment, some sanctity of contract that we are not renegotiating the PSA for the Starbuck block. Some sanctity of contract, uncle. I got to explain this to you. The word sanctity comes from the Bible. It means a holy contract, a saintly contract, a sacred contract, a heavenly contract between God Almighty and Tratman. And that can't change. Don't laugh, please. It's not funny. It is very factual what I just said. That is what Jack Day wants to tell us. We're living in ancient times. We're a simple fracking oil contract cannot be changed because it is holy. A contract that benefits one side and one side only cannot be changed. Every single contract on earth can and has been changed. But this one, what Guyana has, seems like it can't change. Trinidad just changed their oil contract. Indonesia, many other oil countries. But Guyana contract was signed between God Almighty and Tratman. Jack Day doesn't know how to touch that. But it can be changed. Uncle and auntie, it can be changed. There is a clause that says that it can be changed once both parties agree. If you listen to him carefully and keenly, you would recognize that he is so tangled and confused by his own words that he wasn't even clear as to how he was using that term or word sanctity. You want me to play it back? Could you play it back for me? Just play it back. Listen how we're using the word sanctity.
That because we don't want litigation, and that because there is in such an environment some sanctity of contracts, that we are not renegotiating the PSA for the Starbuck block. But when Exxon comes...
You can stop it there. Yes. Some sanctity of contract. Yes. Yes. Yeah, maybe got some sprinkle. He sprinkled it. He said despite the PSA has provision to change, he's not going to change the ExxonMobil contract, but will prepare a new contract that will correct all the wrongs in ExxonMobil contract for the others.
Not for the biggest one.
Oh. Now you guys gotta tell me, why wouldn't Jack Day not want to fix all the wrongs in that 600 oil blocks given to ExxonMobil? That 600 oil blocks, uncle, is almost half of Guyana's oil. And this man that named Bharat Jagdeo and the rest of the leaders not correcting it, but have the nerve to tell us he will do better when ExxonMobil come for a contract with Kanji and Kaieteur oil blocks and the others. That Exxon contract on paper has 2% royalty for Guyana. But in actuality, Guyana is not getting that 2%. I don't even think we are getting 1%. Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Because there are lots of oil they're taking out. And you have to pay for transportation fees before they declare royalties. You know, Joe Biden is foreseeing the future of his people in America with his stance now with the oil companies demanding more than 19% royalty. You hear me, bro? Joe Biden foreseeing the future of his people with the oil companies. I am also foreseeing the future of this country with that 2% royalty.